Evan, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how you doing?
I'm living the dream. What are you doing?
Good. Well, just got off work. Figured I'd give the show a call. I got a little bit of career advice. Didn't know if you could help with.
All right, let's try. What's up?
Well, I just graduated from Liberty University about last May of 21, with my bachelor's in biblical and theological studies.
Okay.
No debt, married, working in an RV factory, just saving our money. My wife and I are. And I'm curious what your stance would be on me pursuing a master's in divinity degree for religious studies, of course.
Okay. So why would you get a master's? You don't have to convince me, but if you were to choose that option, why do you think that might be good for you? Where would you use that?
The reason I think it would be beneficial for me to get an MDiv would be, number one, that I can cash flow it. Number two, that I think some of the skills I would learn there, I could only learn there to the best of my ability, such as Hebrew and Greek. I don't know how I learn a dead language on my own.
That's fair. But what are we going to do with this?
Well, I would hopefully like to take the skills I would learn there, like preaching, Bible teaching, church counseling, how to manage church finances, how to deal with some tough issues in Scripture using the biblical languages to lead a church one day.
So to be a senior pastor?
Potentially. I'm open to whatever the Lord has in my life, whether that's
good for you.
Small-town pastor or it's a missionary in the Middle East. I don't care.
Fantastic. In every scenario you gave me for the future, you do not need an MDiv to be able to do that.
Okay.
You do not need it. Understand the operating word and what I'm saying is need.
Right.
You don't need an MDiv to be a missionary. You don't need an MDiv, Master Divinity. Sorry, I'm doing some church speak. I just realized. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody in the booth. Appreciate that. Ken, the Baptist preacher's kid, went into full church speak there. You don't need a master's degree in divinity to do any of those things. So I have a 2-part question that is the ultimate filter on should I get a degree of any level. You ready?
Sure.
Is it the only way to do what I want to do? I've established that it is not. Is it the best way? The second part question is it the best way to do what you want to do? And I'm going to tell you that it's neither. I've got to know, but that's your question to answer. But my answer is no to both. It's not the only way for you to be a pastor, a missionary, or a senior church leader, and it is not the best way. And here's why. While I agree with you that having somebody teach you Greek and Hebrew would be easier than you learning it on your own, can I also tell you that I'm a pastor's son. My father was in ministry for 47 years, preached 3 times a week, 47 years, and many times he would drop a Greek word or the Hebrew, but that's all available via studies and commentaries. You don't have to speak it to illustrate it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Let me give you an example. All right? The team is sick and tired of hearing me say this. Damon, the boss, the suit, my brand leader, he's in the control room today with his shiny head. And he's so sick of me saying, does everybody know the Latin word, the root word for passion in the Latin? It's pati. I've said it 1,000,000 times. He's sick of me saying it. But I don't know Latin, but I looked it up. But it sounds really good when I say it on stage. Wait, the root word in the Latin of passion is pati, which means to suffer. Don't I sound very smart right now?
Kind of. Depends how you want to look at it.
I love your honesty. But my point is made. You don't have to speak it fluently to be able to teach from it.
Sure.
So I would save the money. I would save the money. Me personally.
What if I could get it paid for 100%?
I still wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Now, here's why.
Because
there are things I could cash flow. I could cash flow a $5,000 grill. I don't need a $5,000 grill. So, again, I know it sounds, and here's what I want you to hear me say. I'm not telling you you're wrong, Evan, but you called me to ask me, and my personal process is, even though I can afford it or cash flow it, if I don't need it. Now, there's a difference between need and want. And if you decide that you want it, Evan, and we know you can cash flow it, then go for it. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I want to make sure you understand the difference between my opinion and what I would do versus what's right or wrong. Make sense?
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it's
So you
wrong.
think there would be a better uses of my time, in other words?
100%.
Because that'd probably be a 3 to 6 year commitment, depending on how fast I do it.
Yeah, I'd rather you be working in a church. I would rather you be reading books, and all the time you would spend on a master's in divinity, I would be reading Charles Haddon Spurgeon. I would be reading the great preachers and how do they preach on the biggest topics in the Bible. And you can do studies on the Greek and the Latin and some of the words and, what was the Greek for, pick your phrase in the Bible and go. I just think when you get into preaching, your personal passion around the topic of preaching, you're going to go do your research on the Greek and Latin and all that kind of stuff. And I just think to spend 3 to 6 years and thousands of dollars on it, I just don't think you need it. I think you'd be better served getting in on a staff, beginning to preach, learn the art of preaching. I'm reading books on preaching. That's what I would be doing. I'd be listening to podcasts. And let me tell you something else I would do if I were you. I'd find out who your favorite preachers are. And I'd watch their messages online, and I would just digest them. I think you'll learn more from that than you will in any MDiv class. And oh boy, if you're watching, I'm not saying an MDiv isn't worth it. I'm just saying if you want to do it and you can cash flow it, do it. I personally wouldn't. I think we get too much learning and not enough doing. I mean, I want people to understand where I'm coming from on this. I think he's better served watching great preachers, reading the sermons of the greats. I just mentioned Charles Haddon Spurgeon, the Prince of Preachers. I'd be reading his sermons. He's got books on preaching. That's what I would be doing. I would be learning by digesting and then trying. Oh, by the way, that's my philosophy on education as well. Get these kids out of the freaking textbooks. Give them a concept. Teach them. Let them process it. Let them try it. Let them think about it. Let them talk about it. Ugh. Stop with all the tests. Can you tell I've been traumatized? Uh-oh. We'll save that for later.